Well, hello YouTube, it's me, Fortmaster, and welcome back to another Mikaeli reaction. So the last thing I recorded, I was reacting to the whole saga of the Mikaeli hitting metal ARG, apparently. Which, again, if you don't know what that is, the one that most people, I would imagine, have seen floating around the internet is this, like, one clip.
Mikaeli, you successfully hit the metal 17 times, so you are now proud owner of this photograph of motorcar. I am happy. But property is theft, so you are now under arrest. Well enough.
So, and yeah, apparently that was just the first in a huge line of like 71 daily uploads on like Instagram, and to just, you know, tell a story. And I watched it, and it turns out Mikaeli was actually like the CEO of this company called Veil, and like he was in a coma, and somebody had trapped him in like one of the machines they were developing. It was absolutely nuts. Then it ended with, I think, the woman who saved him being forced into the machine as well. Or I think it might have also been the woman who was holding him captive. I'm not entirely sure. But that's why we are here today. The Mikaeli ARG explained, hitting metal 17 times. So yeah, I am very much looking forward to getting some answers to my, questions. So yeah, I guess, of course, the original video will be linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason, as well as my reaction to the days 1 to 71 of Mikaeli hitting metal. Corner video will lead to my Let's Play of the Day, and yeah, with all that out of the way, let's get this thing started then, shall we?
Alternate reality games have existed for decades and have appeared in many different forms over the years. In 2017 alone, we saw the appearance of Local 58,
yeah.
a series that paved the way for...
Jeez, did that really come out in 2017? Jeez, it's been a while.
Entirely new style of VHS horror, as well as Petscop, a fascinating early example of a game within a video within a game which has left its viewers with countless questions that are yet to be answered 7 years after its creation. But in my search to discover and examine many of these internet videos, I have never seen something quite like this. This is Mikaeli, a game show contestant who first appeared in a short video titled When Game Shows Go Too Far, in which clips from early television broadcasts were taken and dubbed over to form absurd scenarios to create comedy. And it was this...
Oh yeah, also, I did end up finding out where the footage came from. Apparently the show was not actually Russian, it was German. And Mikaeli, or the guy who was actually Mikaeli, it's not his actual name, it was like one of those talent shows where the whole premise was you'd have random people coming on, and they'd say they'd be able to do something. Like, you'd have 5 of them come onto the show, and, like, they would basically bet that they'd be able to do it within a certain allotment of time. Mikaeli, whose episode came out in the 80s, and who the original man, unfortunately died in 2018, his thing was that he'd be able to hit a piece of metal repeatedly so many times in like 23 seconds that it would end up being hot enough to light a cigarette, which he actually did. And I think, if I remember correctly, he actually placed 3rd on the show. It was one of those shows where, people watching could phone in and vote, and he won 3rd, so yay.
This video that spawned a very important short clip featuring Mikaeli.
Mikaeli, you successfully hit the metal 17 times, so you are now proud owner of this photograph of motorcar. I am happy. But property is theft, so you are now under arrest. Well enough.
Within this short video, which
yeah,
is labelled as a Soviet Union game show despite the original video being based in Germany, our contestant is seen very calmly accepting his arrest after winning a photograph of a car because, quote, property is theft. And after its upload, this clip became fairly popular due to its absurd theme and its comedic timing. And sometimes when a short video gets popular and is quoted that often, people like to commemorate it. And one way that is done is by following an internet trend in which accounts on Instagram and TikTok will post their favourite thing once a day, every day, for as long as they can. This has been a thing for years, posting the same picture of a toaster for 500 days, posting the same picture of Garfield for 2,000 days, posting the same picture of Freddie Benson for 6 years. But one of these accounts has risen to the top as one of the most popular by far, and not for the reason you may expect. You hit metal 17 times every day, which, as you can imagine, posts the same video of Mikaeli hitting metal and being arrested once a day, every day, since the 1st of December 2023. However, on day 37, something changed.
Mikaeli, you successfully hit metal 17 times, so you are now proud owner of this photograph of motorcar. I am not happy. I'm sorry? I am not happy with it. You don't want the photograph? No, I've hit metal 17 times every day. I want 2 pictures of motorcar. Mikaeli, you cannot just break your time loop. There is a way to escape, but you are yet to find it. And neither is your older self. Well, no.
This is the first video posted
yeah.
to the account that is different from the remainder of the uploads, as in this video it is revealed to us by the game show host that Mikaeli is trapped in a time loop, meaning he is reliving the exact same moment every day on repeat infinitely. But as Mikaeli has become more aware of what's happening, he realizes that if he doesn't change the course of the time loop, that he will be trapped within it forever, causing him to respond to the host differently after winning the photograph. To which the host explains that breaking the loop would be much harder than that, revealing Mikaeli's older self to prove his point. At this point, the audience of the Instagram account is aware that a change
Who broke the timeline?
marking the beginning of Mikaeli's story.
War has
which would begin to
begun.
unfold
I love
more
it.
with each passing day. And 3 days after the second loop began, a change happened again.
Mikaeli, you only hit metal 16 times, so I am sorry, but you'll go home empty-handed. Oh, what a shame. Mikaeli, everyone. I can just go. Yes, you just go there, and you will...
Yeah.
Oh, let's see who our next contestant is on the show. Ah, Mikaeli, back so soon. I guess you are still trapped. Well, no.
I guess you are still
In this video,
trapped.
Mikaeli is left empty-handed as he attempts to break the time loop by only hitting metal 16 times, and with his plan failing, he returns to the stage realizing he is still trapped. This video sparked a lot of discussion within the comments about what Mikaeli should do to break the loop. Mikaeli, hit metal 18 times for 2 picture of motorcar. The only way to escape the loop is to refuse to hit the metal at all. Stop saying fair enough, it re-loops the timeline. At this point in time, only one thing has remained.
That's it. It's like that was no. I know that wasn't it. But again, like the whole. Oh god, I'm just imagining the like how like people's minds would have blown once stuff from like as the outside world started seeping in. Oh god, I wish I had been there to see it.
Consistent throughout each new loop, and that is Mikaeli saying fair enough at the end of each video. But despite current theories, our lack of information regarding Mikaeli and his background leaves us questioning the bigger picture, waiting for more to be explained to us in future uploads. Starting on day 45. On day 45, the loop changes again, but for the first time it isn't caused by Mikaeli. Instead, it is triggered by the game show itself, as a loud buzzer is heard signaling a bonus round where Mikaeli is made to guess objects depicted by simple drawings. But after successfully guessing 5 objects, the game is interrupted by this message. Error. Player hardware overheat. Code overstim. Upon seeing
that
this
was
message,
seen
the
earlier,
host redirects
right.
Mikaeli so that he cannot view it, meaning it likely holds important information that they do not want him to see. At this point, it seems like the game show that Mikaeli is a part of is conducting an operation to hold him captive within a time loop, and that the producers of the show are aware of this, along with the show's host.
Yeah, show, because at this point we don't really have that much proof to say that, you know, this isn't reality, but we soon enough will get a lot of proof saying that this isn't real at all.
And during the bonus round, something went wrong, causing an error to be displayed on the screen, explaining that the player hardware overheated. The lack of context leaves us with more questions than answers. However, I have seen multiple comments suggesting that this means Mikaeli is in a simulation, which is entirely possible. The last part of the message that
and
reads
ended up
code
being
overstim
true.
is just as confusing as the first. However, we'll get back to it, as it makes more sense later in the series. But there's one piece of information highlighted by this comment that is really important in debunking one of the early theories. Guys, fair enough isn't the trigger word. Mikaeli says it in the middle of this one, yet the loop doesn't reset. which means something else causes it, which is true. This is the first time that Mikaeli has said fair enough during a separate part of the video, meaning that this phrase doesn't reset the loop like we suggested before. And if you pay even closer attention during this part of the video, you may have noticed an image that appears for only a few frames before
again, what was
when
that?
When people first noticed this image, there was speculation as to what it contained, but after a quick reverse image search, we discover that the photo originates from the Hamlet chicken processing plant fire, a disaster that took place in 1991, in which a processing plant in North Carolina owned by the corporation Imperial Food Products set fire and burned to the ground. Despite this being the fourth fire to occur at the plant during its 11 years of operation, the building had never undergone a single safety inspection, causing the death of 25 people during its fourth and final fire, and injuring several of its survivors.
That sounds like a massive case of corruption.
There is much more information on that story that you can look into yourself if you please. However, I'll leave it at that for now, since there is no explanation or reason I can find as to why an image of the plant was placed into this video, and due to the lack of information surrounding it.
Well, that they said in the story that the Vale like office or something was they supposedly had a fire at that building. So that might have been, they might have just used that picture to give to the newspapers to say, hey, this is the damage from the fire. Don't look into this more than you have to.
We would be reaching if we were to make any assumptions this early on. The loop then changes again on day 47. In this version, Mikaeli is seen hitting metal 18 times, trying once again to make a difference. However, before obtaining his award, he cuts off the host of the show, explaining that he wants to leave so that he can see his family, also stating that he will not accept property and that he will not say fair enough.
I won't accept property and I won't say fair enough. Shit. Oh, Mikaeli, it's so cute how you think that makes a difference.
Yeah, there we go.
We receive confirmation from the host that Mikaeli saying fair enough does not trigger the loop, nor does it do anything at all. And if you paid really close attention, you may have noticed Mikaeli's appearance change for a single frame of the video, in which he appears to have aged a significant amount and is wearing an oxygen mask. And with Mikaeli's
has like a whole bunch of stuff plugged into him, which is really creepy.
older self already being mentioned previously within the series, it's possible that this singular frame means something within the story, but as of now, we are unsure. Mikaeli then wins a phone call as a special prize for hitting metal 18 times. During this call, an unknown voice is heard screaming "wake him up" over and over, prompting Mikaeli to respond to the voice, where he asks the questions, "Why are you keeping me here? And what is your end game?" Which results in the appearance of this screen showing a few lines of code. User input equals end game. Ending game. End game disabled equals true. If end game disabled, print, "Sorry, you can't end the game.
Oh God,
the end
yeah.
game functionality has been permanently disabled. Load previous loop." This text here practically confirms the theory held by many that Mikaeli is being held within a simulation, as saying the words "end game" prompted an input from Mikaeli in which the code had mistaken those words for a user attempting to end the game. However, here we see that whoever created the simulation has permanently disabled the end game function, leaving Mikaeli still trapped inside it. Although we learnt from this video that the words "fair enough" have no effect on the game and Mikaeli's ability
Other
to
words
escape,
do.
this code shows us that some words do have meaning and can potentially change the course of the loop. End game being one of those inputs. If Mikaeli was to begin to understand how the game's code works, he could potentially use it to his advantage. However, given how confused he is about his current situation already, it may take some time before he is able to piece it together.
Yep,
The
day
loop
49.
then changes again on day 49, with Mikaeli hitting metal as usual before the tape cuts, first showing text for a few frames that reads, "Case Report 17623, Death of Samantha Penford, File 49, External 1, Tape, degraded tape restored to highest quality available by Jenny, and then cutting to what appears to be an archived tape from a news report, the first piece of footage we see in the series that is from outside the game show room. And beginning the report, we are told about a fire that broke out at a tech facility known as Vale Industries, which left 3 employees injured and put their CEO Mikaeli in a coma. The tape glitches from place to place, the remaining information we managed to gather from the recording being that the CEO of Vale faced multiple lawsuits for abuse of employees, gambling of company money, and illegal testing. We then hear pieces of an interview from the CEO's wife, Gia Fields, who says that something feels wrong to her about this case, and appears to be suspicious knowing that the only person in the entire building to end up in a coma due to the incident happened to be the CEO
her husband,
of the company. There is a lot to speculate about this video in particular, as it is the first in the story to involve outside characters. However, if it wasn't obvious enough already, Mikaeli, the CEO of Vale Industries, is an older version of Mikaeli, as previously seen in the second loop in the series. This is also the second time in the story we have heard of a fire, meaning that this edited image we discovered earlier is likely a photograph from that fire at Vale Industries.
Exactly what I said, yeah.
About. And one thing we do need to keep on our minds is the name Samantha Penford, and more importantly, who is she and how did she die? But having more questions than answers, let's carry on. On day 51, a new loop emerged. In this one, the host of the show compliments Mikaeli for hitting metal really nicely and awards him a special entertainment prize.
Death!
That prize being man reading out random numbers. And knowing ARGs and their love for leaving hidden codes and messages around for viewers to find, it's safe to say that these numbers may not be so random.
You know, I didn't even think of the possibility of that. I mean, like, from the look of it, I always assumed that was literally just footage from the same show, but, like, from a different contestant or something like that. I never would have thought that the numbers that they were putting in were put in after the fact, and they would have actually been, like, part of the ARG itself. Of course!
And we'll keep
I'm an
them in
idiot
mind for later. Mikaeli says that he doesn't like his reward, but the host tells him to give it a chance, explaining that it gets better around hour 14. The large length of the footage likely being mentioned on purpose to further intensify Mikaeli's feeling of being trapped. But before he is able to respond to this, we cut to even more code. In this case, the game received the command pause, and even though the word was not said by anyone within the game, we can see from what's written that the command was entered by an external source, likely whoever is controlling the simulation, and it successfully pauses the game, with the video being followed by this footage.
Where am I? Where was a game show?
Listen, can I get the passcode for Vault 3?
69398.
Thank you. Back to sleep.
No, wait.
In this disturbing part of the video, Mikaeli is awakened due to the pausing of the game, and for the first time we see him outside of the game show, lying down as an unidentified person asks him for the passcode to Vault 3. And knowing that Mikaeli is the CEO of Vale Industries, we can understand that the person seen here is taking advantage of his current state in order to access a vault within the company. And despite not knowing much about Vale other than the fire that took place there, we can assume that Vault 3 holds some important items or information.
I mean, literally, it could be anything. I mean, from what I understand, I mean, it's a company vault that's, you know, controlled by the company. It's not something put in a bank, so you wouldn't think it's something, you know, like money. So this is probably like either top secret blueprints or like whatever the equivalent of like a secret recipe would be, you know, something like that. It's something big was going on behind the scenes that they were definitely willing to break several human rights over.
Important enough to make someone want to steal them. What's also interesting is that when Mikaeli was awarded with the video of man reading out random numbers, one of the numbers shown, 69399, is a single digit away from the vault code 69398. Perhaps this was placed into the simulation to intimidate Mikaeli, reading numbers that are close to vault codes in order to scare him, with Mikaeli responding to this reward by saying, "I don't like it." You may have also spotted very small text towards the top of the screen during this scene. User AHOLES, current status external, scenario custom, version 17.4.1, AARU not available. With the way that this scene plays out, you would assume that Mikaeli has been awoken into the real world during the pausing of the game. However, this text implies that he is still within some sort of simulation or is still being controlled. We're currently unsure how this person managed to put themselves into this scenario with Mikaeli. However, no matter how it was achieved, they were successful in stealing the information that they needed.
God, I didn't even think of that. I mean, the idea that, oh God, waking up from one simulation or one nightmare just to wake up in another one. Oh, it's like that one old theory about the Matrix where the world you wake up to isn't actually a real one.
And putting Mikaeli back to sleep, the game resumes. Once back within the game show area, our host seems genuinely confused as to what has just happened, asking Mikaeli if he is okay, telling us that this may have not been part of the plan. The next change in the series happens on day 54, and is by far the most experimental one yet, taking on an approach much more similar to analog horror, with a VHS informational video on Vale Industries. We open with the company logo and their motto, "The fun never ends," then cutting to a large amount of text
really
describing
ominous.
the product created by Vale, the Mirage game experience, which appears to be an early form of virtual reality, with the ability to transport you to unreal worlds, including the vaguely named Forest Battle, Castle Grand Prix, as well as Adult and Custom, which seem to be a part of some premium package that Vale offers. Then for only 2 frames we see the following message: AARU is currently unavailable due to multiple failed tests. In future, individuals with terminal health conditions will be given priority for AARVU tests. AARU seems to be a codename used for some part of the Mirage game experience, as when looking back at this video, we can see the text
there is no AARU
not available in the
installed.
top right hand corner. But how and why would Michael Lee of Vale Industries get trapped inside of his own product that he created? We'll get back to that. We then see some descriptions of how the product works, learning that it is much more than a virtual reality headset, as its installation process requires modification of the human brain, mainly within the occipital lobes, the part of the brain that is responsible for our visual perception and how we see the world around us. From this information alone, we can imagine that this procedure is incredibly dangerous, as damaging this section of the mind can lead to vision impairments, as well as visual distortion and possibly full-on blindness. And not only that, it's also painful, with the informational video telling us that the procedure is completely painless apart from phase 2, 4, 6 to 146, and 3. And the next description reads as follows. Known issue.
Also, I didn't say anything at the time, but like that has almost 150 steps to it. Like how complicated are the steps? Are we talking about Lego where it's like, oh, place this one piece, next step, or are we talking about it just the whole 100 like how like this would have never flown in real life just because of like how complicated and time consuming it is even just to have it installed. Ugh.
Issues and bugs, overheating from overstimulation, unwanted level repetition, bleed from external stimuli, known side effects upon re-emergence, nausea, confusion, impressionability, verrucas, altered sexual inclinations, and regret.
I didn't even notice that second to last one. Altered sexual inclinations. Okay. So what by that, what do they mean by that? Do they mean like, oh, it could install like a new fetish or something into you? Or are they talking about potentially like rewriting your sexual orientation? Because that would be super dangerous either way.
At Vale, we take quality control incredibly seriously. If you spot a bug, please report it. We are then shown a credits page for those that helped work on the product, including Mikaeli, as well as another familiar name, Sam Pemford, or Samantha Pemford, as we know her from the Death of Samantha Pemford tape recordings from earlier in the series. We also find out that the surgeon's name is Chris Shovlin, and that Vale has a huge legal defense team behind them for obvious reasons. The video then ends with the story continuing on day 57, as Mikaeli is seen back in the game show room explaining that there is an outside world and that he remembers waking up, to which the host lies, telling him that it was just a bad dream. During this interaction, text appears on the big screen reading, "Michael, are you in there? It's Gia." And diverting Mikaeli's attention, our host signals the beginning of everyone's favorite part of the series that I'm just gonna let play out from here.
The song, yeah.
I've known you so long, but you don't even know my name.
Why are you singing?
Why are you singing?
We've been doing it wrong, cause you and I are kind of the same.
I would like to leave because I am sad and I miss my family. Give me a reprieve, it's driving me mad. Hitting metal into life for me. Cause when you're stuck in a game show, life is tough. I can't work out this time loop stuff.
You won't be leaving us today.
So there's just one thing that I can say.
What?
Fair enough. You can't say fairer than fair enough. You can't say fairer than fair enough. You can't say fairer than that. Oh, drat. Everyone in time loop fair enough.
Everyone in time loop, yeah.
Fairer than fair enough. Can't say fairer than fair enough. You can't say fairer than that. Oh, drat. Fair enough.
During this musical number,
yeah.
we see that a person by the name of Gia is attempting to contact Mikaeli by sending several messages into the game, all of which he fails to see as he is distracted by the music. Those messages read, "I think there is a way out. We can use the bugs," and "Sam is keeping you in there. Stay strong. I will find a way to get you out." Unless there is another Sam in the story, this message would be referring to Samantha Pemford, who we know had one of the leading roles in the creation of Mirage. And we know from a previous video that Gia is Michael Lee's wife. And if she is telling the truth, then it would appear that Mikaeli is being held captive by one of his own colleagues and is being forced to remain inside the game. The current motive for this is unknown, however I'd assume that it has something to do with Michael Lee's controversial history at Vale, abusing employees at the company and gambling away all their money. Perhaps Sam was in some way affected by how Michael was treating people within the workplace, causing her frustrations to build and build until she couldn't take it anymore. For now, this is all speculation, and we will begin to learn more later in the series. On day 60, the second tape is revealed from the Death of Samantha Pemford case report. This time the tape is labeled as complete, telling us that what we are viewing is the original copy of the recording and that no restoration was needed to reinstate its video or audio quality. We then cut to a recording from inside of a car as someone is documenting their experience visiting Vale Industries. Here the cameraman is driving past Block 3, which is where the fire happened, and they are quick to point out that despite what has been said on the news, the current condition of Block 3 is far too perfect for a building that was recently engulfed in flames. And already holding these doubts, they enter the building and begin looking around, recording hallways and rooms that they describe as creepy, before bumping into a young intern who they begin to speak with. During this conversation, our cameraman shows interest in the employee before we cut to the inside of his car. In this scene, it appears that the woman behind the camera is flirting with the intern to try and get some insider information on Mirage, telling him that it's okay for him to share classified information as she won't understand any of it anyway. And continuing the conversation, she convinces him to take her to his house so that she can access his work computer while he sleeps. And the information seen on the computer reads as follows: Mirage Engine, Level 2B Admin Guidelines and Procedures, strictly classified. Only proceed if you have Level 2B permissions or above. This seems to just be a faint warning to whoever is accessing the computer to not proceed if they haven't been granted the required required permissions. AARU. Existing AARU subjects can be utilized for experimentation. AARU Test Subject 2 is currently being utilized within custom scenario. Test Subject 2's external hardware was disconnected on September 11th, 1991. We've discussed AARU before.
Yeah, what does that even
Personally,
mean?
I believe that AARU is the name of the implant that is put into the test subject's brain when they agree to take part in these Mirage tests. I could be wrong, but it seems like that's the most likely scenario, at least at this point in time. Lunch is provided in the canteen between 1 PM and 2 PM. If you have any dietary requirements, please keep them to yourself. Canteen food is cheap for a reason, so please don't complain. It seems to me that this is an example of the abuse that Mikaeli is known for dishing out to his employees, purposefully neglecting their workers' diet and demanding that they stop complaining about the poor quality of the food. I'm sure it gets much deeper than this, but this is our first bit of proof that Mikaeli is a bad person, as implied by the first Death of Samantha Penford videotape. Temporary admin insertion. Only use if all options exhausted. All admins notified if used. Interactions must meet scenario guidelines. The woman in this video seems to react positively to reading this section of text, almost as if it gives her an idea. And once she has finished reading, we move on to day 63.
Here we go, yeah, this is where stuff gets weird.
As the host begins to compliment his singing voice, to which they harmonize together. However, before the conversation can continue, they are interrupted by Gia. Here we learn that the woman that successfully snuck onto a Mirage employee's computer was Michael's wife all along. And using the temporary admin insertion, she was able to place herself into the game that Michael is trapped in. And whilst in here, she tells him that to be able to escape from the game, that he will have to overstimulate him.
Again, I love the fact that in this simulation, just everybody automatically gets like a Russian accent. I mean, you gotta love that criteria. It's just it's so weird.
With loud noises, flashing lights, and through physical exertion. The host tries really hard to remove Gia from the game as she is giving out this information. However, he is unsuccessful, and Mikaeli receives all the information he needs by the time she
What
is
a silly
forced out.
joke.
And continuing on day 66, the host tries to tell Mikaeli that Gia was lying to him, but he doesn't buy it, and knowing what to do, Mikaeli does everything in his power to overstimulate himself.
Mikaeli, put down that hammer. Let's do this. Mikaeli, if you don't put that hammer down right now, I will reset you, and you won't remember anything from your time in here. Mikaeli, reset the player. Click, so slow. Mikaeli, I will give you 5 pictures of Monte Carlo if you stop hitting metal, and I won't even arrest you. Shit, there is Sam. Oh, Mikaeli, relax. Imagine you're on the beach with a pina colada and a small dog lick your toe. Mikaeli. Mikaeli, you're all I have. Please. Come on, reset. Reset. The real world is not what you think.
That's the thing. Who was the TV show host? Because I don't think it was Sam, because it seemed like Sam was the woman. And then you have the host, who seems actually frightened that the simulation would end. So are they like a part of the simulation that's gained sentience from like the whole thing? It's so weird.
Mikaeli!
With his plan being successful, Michael wakes up in a dark room with another character, who we can only assume is Samantha Penford. The video then cuts off, and on day 69 we see the third file from the Death of Samantha Penford videotapes. This tape being labelled as incomplete, and beginning with a news report as it is stated that Michael has officially woken up from his coma. However, before word was able to get out about his reappearance, Samantha Penford had gone missing. We then cut to an interview with Michael in the real world as he discusses the abnormality of his so-called coma. And responding to this, the interviewer says that many people heard Samantha screaming on the night he woke up. However, he dismisses these claims, calling them crazy theories. And being cut off, we are then shown another piece of footage from inside the bedroom. In this scene, it appears that Samantha Penford has been tied down to the bed that Michael Lee
Okay, so it was
lying
Samantha
on. The
that had
text at
been
the top of
tied
the
down,
screen
okay.
reads, reads, "User Goodnight Sam," which further supports this theory. The text also reads, "AARU ready," and knowing that AARU is what's used by Vale to place their users into the Mirage experience, we can assume that Samantha is being prepared to enter the simulation that Michael was previously a part of. And just before
Yeah, but that was the thing. His wasn't, he didn't have it. So that would mean that hers is even going to be more visceral and more realistic than his was.
passing out, the dark figure in the room says the words, "I am happy," captioned with Mikaeli's infamous light blue text, showing us that this tall dark figure is without a doubt Mikaeli. And with that final piece of information, we have reached the end of chapter 1 of this story. And since the entirety of this ARG is being broadcast through Instagram, the majority of the people that are explaining parts of the story in the comment section are people that will occasionally see a video pop up on their feed, gather what they can from it, summarize it, but fail to explain the many other videos from previous days that they may have missed by not actively coming back to the story on their own terms.
Yeah.
Because of this, I would like to provide a video where people can come and get a full understanding of the story from start to finish without having to search through hundreds of comments, slowly piecing it together, and even then ending up confused. Which is why I would like to provide a full summary of chapter 1 so that we are all on the same page. So, without wasting your time, here is that summary. Vale Industries is a large tech company behind the Mirage game, a virtual reality experience that can place users into hyper-realistic simulations through modifying of the human brain. During early tests of the product, it had been reported
that's so
that
creepy.
CEO Mikaeli had been abusing his powers by mistreating his employees and by gambling away the company money. And in retaliation to this, employee Samantha Pemford performed an experiment on Michael by placing him inside of the Mirage experience against his will. During this, she places him inside of a custom world that mimics a game show where he is trapped in a time loop, reliving the same day over and over again until he forcefully changes the events that occur. And to cover up Michael's disappearance, Samantha stages a fire that she claims happened in Block 3 of the Vale Company building, leaving Michael in a coma. Not believing a word of what Sam has said, Michael's wife Gia visits the Vale Company building and flirts with an intern so that he will tell her classified information about Mirage and...
Actually, that's the thing. Like, well, granted, I mean, like, she might have not shown up around work that often, so, I mean, there might not be that many people there who'd recognize her as their boss's wife, but at the same time, you'd think that there would be at least somebody there who would have seen her before and recognized her, and would have said, hey, like, what are you doing here? Or at the very least, she could have, like, asked for, you know, the proper information or something like that.
How it works. And
so then
learning all
again,
about...
based on how we've seen Michael act, or how we're told he acts, he might have not been the friendliest. His employees might not have liked him that much, so that might have hampered any of her abilities to find him.
She sneaks onto the employee's work computer, granting herself admin permissions and temporarily inserting herself inside of the game. And once inside, she tells Michael that in order to escape that he will have to overstimulate himself, causing him to hit metal harder than ever before, while the game show band perform music behind him. This causes the hardware to overheat, waking himself up from the simulation where he is greeted by Sam. And in a state of anger, he lashes out at her, tying her to the bed and putting her into the simulation where he previously was. As of right now, that is almost everything within the story that we can easily digest and understand. Since the end of chapter 1, there have been more videos posted to the Instagram account, however activity has slowed down a lot. And exploring those videos as of now would be a waste of time as there isn't really a whole lot to uncover. After day 79, the Instagram account stopped posting daily and instead now only posts whenever a change happens in the story. And the last time that happened was on the 12th of March. So instead of jumping into the next part of the story and awkwardly ending this video on a cliffhanger, I'm instead going to split this video up into multiple parts. Between now and then, you can explore this account for yourself, and once there is enough content within the next chapter, I will follow this video up with a part 2. I didn't want to end this video like this, but since the series is still in development, it's still being made, it makes more sense to do this this while we wait for more of the story to unfold. So far, this has been a very interesting experience that I'm excited to come back to, and I hope the best is still yet to come. But until then, that's where we'll leave it. Make sure to check out the original creator for yourself and discuss your own theories within the comment section. But until next time, this has been the Mikaeli ARG. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all later.
Again, I love when stuff like this happens, where you have like these really stupid like meme channels or meme accounts where like they literally just post the exact same thing every day, and then it slowly gets weirder and more convoluted, and like, oh, something's not right here, or something's a little messed up there. Oh, it's stuff like this is why I love the internet, just of the unending creativity that people can come up with for like such weird things. Like what was at one point just a joke little video making fun of the Soviet Union is now like the beginning of an ARG about a man trapped within his own creation because he didn't treat his employees right. Oh god. So yeah, that'll be it for now for Mikaeli. I mean, it's been 3 months, so I'll look around, see if there's a sequel to this video yet. We'll have to see. So yeah, I guess with all that out of the way, I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if not, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.